on today and do a quick walkthrough and tutorial of Remine. So to get started, what is Remine? Remine is a real estate intelligence platform delivered through MLS system for agents. Now, Remine does analyze property records, transaction history, and a whole bunch of different consumer data points in order to give you the best and accurate data. So let's jump in. If you look at the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see a whole bunch of different tabs. So let's work our way through those. To start, you have your search tab. Your search tab is going to bring up this map. It's almost like a Google Maps. And with this, you can narrow different zip codes, cities, neighborhoods, anything you want to focus on or farm. You can do that right up top here. Next, you have save searches. So if you have a whole bunch of different farm areas you wanted to focus on or pull those lists, you can go ahead and do that. Next, you have carts. So the carts is similar to save searches. So if you favorited any of those particular properties, this is where they would pop up. From here, you can also export them. So if you were trying to put them on a different maybe drip campaign or send stuff to their homes or follow those, you could go ahead and do so here. Next, you have engage. So most of us use the MLS system to send different property alerts to our clients. Remine also offers that, but one thing that they offer that your MLS system doesn't is right up in this top right hand corner. It is the Step 1 program. This is a big game changer for all agents, and this may push a lot of people over to using Remine to send those notifications to clients. They also offer a few other things that I'll touch on in a little bit. Next, you have chat, pretty self-explanatory. This is how you're going to chat with your clients. Next, you have contacts. So contacts is pretty interesting. It is an address book essentially, but one thing that you can do is you can attach properties to those clients that you have in there. So if there is a change of deeds or anything, that will pop up there and you could see that, hey, maybe the house sold or they listed again or something else if you were following with them. That saves a lot of time in the end. Next, you have something that most of us have in general anyways, but it's a little bit different. You have docs. Remine does offer the docs, which is very similar to other digital signing platforms like DigiSign or DocuSign. So if you don't have those, this would be an option. You can keep track of your transactions here. You can develop folders through it in order to have everything if you need the buyer's folder, seller's folder, and you do have everything in one place. All right. Jump back up to the search tab and go over some of the filters. Some of the filters are going to be very self-explanatory, so we'll just brief touch on those and move on. First one being property value. So how much is the property worth? I'll touch in a bit on how Remine comes up with this number. Next, we have home equity. So how much equity does the property have? Third, very important one, especially when you start using Remine as a platform to get your lead list from, ownership time. How long has this person owned the property? Next, we will have sell score. So the sell score is an algorithm that Remine came up with. It uses a whole bunch of different sell indicators in order to determine how likely the owner is to sell that property. So you have three different options with it. You have a high, medium, low. What do they mean? High, they are likely to sell their property in the next 12 months. Medium, in the next 24 months. Low is anything after that 2-year mark. That is what they will be assigned. Next, you have absentee. So you have 4 different options for it. You have corporate owned, owner occupant, which is typically what you're going to go after, and an absentee owner. So if you do select absentee, you are still going to be mailing to that property, but the name that's going to be registered on that property is most likely going to be a renter. So if you're targeting renters in the area, this is what you would be selecting. Next, flood zone risk. Is it low, medium, high? This is important if your client does not want to have that extra flood insurance or that's a big concern for them. Building type, are you going after condos? Maybe that's your niche, is you're going after townhome, multifamily, single family. This is where you can narrow that list down even further. Land use, pretty explanatory. Typically you're going to stick in residential or commercial, but there are a few other ones on there. Airbnb, is the property being used as an Airbnb? You have your mortgage rate, especially now when we're at a all-time low for mortgage rates. This is a really good one. You can start targeting people either to say, hey, you can get a larger house for what you're paying now, or just to be a community resource and letting them know, hey, maybe now is a good time to refi. Mortgage age, another self-explanatory. Last sales price. Distress deals, so are they behind on their property payments? Are they going into pre-foreclosure? Are they at that foreclosure status? That would be where you find that. And then the last one is cash buyers. Did they buy that property with cash? Typically, if they are buying a property with cash, that is going to be how you target your investors through Remine. Now that we've covered some of those, we do have at the very top up here, advanced. So if you want to do everything at once, you can go through here. This will have everything I just covered. Also, at the top here, says listing. This is a nice piece for this. You can do, are they active on the market? Are they under contract, pending, canceled? So if you're starting to target some of those sellers, you would probably just select off market. You know that they don't have an expired listing. They're not active on the market. So you are targeting people that would potentially be able to sell that do not have an agent already. Next, we will jump into engage. All right, so let's jump in and look at our engage tab. So at the very top right, you will see invite to step one. So let's dig a little bit deeper into that. So step one is something that I would recommend for everyone to throw into your buyer consultation unless they already come to you pre-qualified. So what does it do? You can actually enter in all your clients' information and it will pull a credit report. You could see, are they already behind on payments? Do they have anything in collections? And walk them through maybe some simple things that they could do to jump up that credit score and help them get pre-qualified or at least a better rate. Now, this is what Remine does in the engage section that's different than your MLS. So you can send clients listings just like you would through the MLS, but with Remine. And here's what Remine does differently. Remine offers off-market properties. So your for sale by owners that pop up in the area can also go to your clients. And I know at first I would think the same thing. I don't want my clients seeing for sale by owners. What if they don't want to pay the commission? What if, they just go behind my back and go there? Here's what is beneficial about that. Is you now have a way to leverage your buyer with a for sale by owner and work through them. In most cases, if they see you actually bringing a client to them to view their house, when they're ready to list because they realize it's not easy peasy, you're going to be at the top of the list. You've already brought someone to them. You've treated them well. It's a no-brainer then to give you a call and to at least speak further with you. So use that to your advantage. All right, so let's jump back up to the search, and here is another thing that Remine can do for you. So if you are going on maybe a listing presentation that's outside of your area, your buyer decides to look in a new area you're not familiar with, maybe you're doing an open house for an agent that again is outside your farm, and you need to get the neighborhood information. You need to be that neighborhood expert if any questions come up. This is the quickest way that I've found to do it and one of the most accurate. So go ahead and throw in whatever that address may be, and it's going to bring you to this page. So let's go over the information you're going to find on this. At the left-hand side, you're going to see the MLS ID. Is it for sale? Is it closed? Maybe it's off market. You'll be able to pull any of that information. How many days on the market? Sale price, about the equity. You could see bed, bath, square footage, acreage, the address, what type of property, and how long it's been owned for. So pretty much everything that you can find on the MLS or through tax records is going to be on this page. Next, you have your MLS description, the agents. This will give you all of the other property information that pops up at the very bottom of your MLS sheet. It will also have if there's an HOA, which I like on it because that does break it down, and it makes it very easy to see where everything is on here. Next piece, tab, you have your valuation. So earlier I said briefly that we would touch where does Remine pull the approximate value of the property from, and this is where it is. So here for this property, we have First American, Black Knight, sometimes you'll see Zillow pop up, but it uses a few different title companies typically and gives their approximate value of the house, and from that it's going to average it out, and that's where their source of value comes from. After that, we have public records, so you'll see flood risks, location, street views. Is it an owner-occupied property? Is it corporate owned? Absentee, square footage. So everything about the property will be in this tab. And here is, let's close this guy. Here's my favorite, schools. This can be very difficult sometimes, especially if you have a ton of feeder schools in one area, or if your client's looking for a specific one. Here's where you find all the information. So instead of going to niche.com and schools and all of this stuff, it is pulled here for you. So I'll tell you, is it elementary, middle, high, what grades it serves, student to teacher ratios. And over here, you'll see also the ratings for the schools. You'll also have your demographics of the neighborhood. So you could see typically who's living around there. Property history, mortgage history, taxes, and then anyone that's associated with the property you'll see here. On this page, you can also do a very quick CMA. You'll bring up the search criteria. It typically is going to fill it in based off the properties. And you would hit, let's do half mile. Search. And there you go. Pulls up everything that you would need. You have your actives, you're under contract, canceled. So this is an easy way also if you're using this as a listing presentation point to go ahead and get your CMA from, or at least certain properties that you may want to look further into. All right, guys, so that's going to be the quick little walkthrough of Remine. If you have any questions about Remine, or if you wanted me to go into further detail on how to pull maybe buyer's list or seller's list and what filters to play with, go ahead and drop that down below, and I will be sure to get back to you guys. Have a wonderful day. Bye.